And I think they could and want certainly to do better. And it's good to see them on the rostrum though, and a couple of gold medals, 1 silver and 2 bronzes. Funny enough, the Aussies finished top of the table, but you don't have to talk too much about that if you don't want to. They have supported these games supremely well though, and I think that it goes back to what I said before. And right across the board, almost in all of their key sports, they sent very, very strong teams. And don't forget, they are bidding with Sri Lanka for the 2018 Games. The Gold Coast.
Interesting to just wonder about Mr. Kalmadi's intentions, Steve. I'd be interested in your view on this, really, because if that Olympic bid goes in for 2020, based on what's happened here, let's put the first few days to one side for a second and look at the entire 11 days, the way it panned out. What do you think the Olympic people are going to be thinking about Delhi as a game? Successful, not successful, potential Olympic bid or not?
If I'm honest, Hugh, again, I've been to lots of Olympic Games. I think they've got a way to go. I think it was a successful Games in the sense that it was carried off without incident. I think there were certainly issues around some of the organisation, around some of the sports. And I think the one thing that they would take away and learn from this is there is help there around the world in staging big events like this. And I think there was a lot of pride from the organisers here in India that we can do this, we can do this. And I think at the last minute they accepted that they needed a bit of help, and then they were given the help, and we've ended up with a pretty good Games. I think they're going to have to accept it. And this happens around the world. You cannot do it all by yourself, and the Olympics are a lot bigger than the Commonwealth Games. And I think if they can show that sort of attitude, you know, they could perhaps put a strong bid together. But I do think they have a way to go. I am a big fan, I have to say, though, of taking the Olympics around the world.
I think on that note, there will definitely be some reflection and soul-searching before the bid is put in.
Ladies and gentlemen,
well, we're going to be in Scotland in 4 years' time, of course. And I think Sonali has got a man. I'm not sure if he'll be there in 4 years' time. In fact, I pretty much doubt he will. But David Miller of Scotland won a gold medal in the time trial. He's with Sonali now.
David Miller, what a Games it's been for you, and you must be so looking forward to Glasgow 2014.
Well, hopefully if I make it there, yeah. But I mean, I'm just appreciating this at the moment. It's been such a wonderful 10 days for me. I mean, Delhi's been fantastic, and this is a great closing ceremony. It's quite surprising how rammed this place is, and the atmosphere here is great.
Yeah, well, it's stunning to be in here amongst the atmosphere, and it feels like it's really about the athletes tonight.
Well, yeah, it feels like that. I mean, we were hanging out there for a while, but we come in and we were just like having fun, and I looked up and I noticed that, and I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty big. And then seeing all the people around, yeah, they put on an amazing show.
I'll let you enjoy the rest of the party. Thanks very much.
Watch David with a real scrap in the road race, where we end up with a bronze medal. There was 3 or 4 of them at the end. And, well, as usual, a bit of a sprint finish, and any one of them had a chance. It looked for a little while as though the gold might be Scotland's on that occasion, but came back the time trial and won the gold there. Disappointing Games for Isle of Man's Mark Cavendish on the road. Came here with very high hopes, and, well, he was a high-profile addition to the Games. And unfortunately, went home with nothing. And I suppose that in itself would say high quality. Well, they're still on their way in.
I think most of them are in now. We've had more representatives of the Indian national team coming in at the tail of this this great parade of athletes. And what we now need to see is all the athletes taking their places in the seats that have been set, as Steve was saying, either side of this arena. We saw athletes actually dotted across various parts of the arena at the opening ceremony, but for this time they've been set at either side, and on the northern side around the Commonwealth Games flag itself. And that's where the handover ceremony will take place.
You know, one thing that, and sometimes people say, oh, you know, you shouldn't mention the controversial moments, but sport is about that. Sport is about drama and controversy, and of course we had the issue with Sally Pearson here in the 100 metres, the double disqualification, if you like, that didn't happen at the time, and people will kind of associate that somehow with the Delhi organisation. Well, that happens. Sport is like that, and that adds to the memories that you take away from any competition, particularly multi-sport events such as this. It's not all about smooth organisation and not always about brilliant sport all the time. It's sometimes the faces of the expressions of disappointment and agony, as well as the jubilation of winning.
And really a time for us to salute the commitment of lots of the athletes. I couldn't help going through the list, Steve, and, you know, more than a handful of countries who turn up time and again. They never win a medal, not a single medal. Quite a few of them still expecting to win their first medal of any kind at these Commonwealth Games, and yet they still come and show loyalty and a lot of commitment.
Well, sport is not about just the winning. The whole Olympic motto, we're not at the Olympics here, but you know, that's adopted in all sport. But the challenge for any athlete to make their national team and go to an event like this is a huge one. And it's such a proud moment in your life, and for some people this is it. This is the pinnacle of their career, and we shouldn't deny them that moment.
There, a good view of the podium and the Commonwealth Games flag. That's where the handover ceremony will take place, and we'll have officials there from obviously from Delhi and from Scotland too. Caught several glimpses of Alex Salmond, the First Minister, who's been here all week. I think he turned up on Sunday, was chatting to us yesterday, and he's seen some competition. He even had the honour of presenting one of the gold medals to one of his fellow Scots, something that he obviously really enjoyed, and he certainly is looking ahead to 2014 and making a very robust case for that.
Malaysian contingent. Pretty good games, Malaysia again. Sports like archery, where they're very strong. And, well, I do think, as I said earlier on, this is going to be one long party tonight.
And those thousands of volunteers that were trained specifically for these games, they've been brought in from all over, and they're also enjoying themselves after a hard few weeks as well.
And you know what was good, Tingu, that some of them, particularly in the early days, were struggling with perhaps some of the tasks, but the one thing they always did, they always smiled and said, I'll go and get somebody who can help you with that. They were incredibly helpful, and nobody was left in the lurch. Occasionally you were, where do I go, what do I do? But they always would find some way of helping you out, whatever your issue was.
It was very tough. I think they had a little lack of training at first, but once it all started going, they were up and running, and I think they did a fantastic job, all in all, across this across the city.
Just wondering, Tiggy, how the people of Delhi have responded. It's quite a shocking sight. I hope people won't mind me saying this, to see big hotels surrounded by soldiers and by police with machine guns everywhere, sandbags. I mean, Delhi is a fully modern, functioning city, and it's a shocking sight for lots of people to see that.
I think for many cities in India, it is quite true to see a lot of military and army on the streets, but I did have friends saying it's like, you know, it's like we're on a barricades here, we're on an army base, and but it was needed. It was needed. I think if anything untoward had happened, there would have been no response to that. So I think the military, the security forces, the police did an admirable job to keep everything. I think there were at times as well when the athletes felt there weren't enough spectators around because of the security.
But, you know, that was one of the reasons people said they didn't want to come. They wanted to feel safe and secure, and I think that was of paramount importance here. The balance may have been tipped a little too far in that direction, but as you rightly say, Tinku, had anything happened, then, of course, it would have reflected very badly on the organisers. So who could perhaps blame them for tipping the balance that way?
So we have thousands of athletes sort of in place and settled down. Can't blame them for